Welcome everyone. Good afternoon and good morning for those who are in the other side of the sea. I'm Greta Bilanzola, and I am a senior project officer at Eurochambres, that is the Association of the European Chambers of Commerce. I'm glad to open this webinar, Trends in Sustainable Textile and Fashion, Innovation and Real Practices, that was organized by Eurochambres in the framework of the Alinvest program. Before moving ahead, I would like to give you a bit of background for those who are not familiar with Alinvest. Alinvest is a flagship program of the European Commission on the European cooperation in Latin America. The program has more than 30 years of history, and we are now at our 6th edition, which is called Alinvest Verde. Eurochamber is implementing the project as a partner of a consortium that is led by SEQUA for its component number 1. Component number 1 is the one that is designed to mobilize the expertise and investment to support the private sector partnership in Latin America. It started in 2021 and will last until November 26. Here you can see all the implementing partners that are working mainly in the implementation of the program with the aim of promoting sustainable growth and job creation by supporting a transition towards a low carbon, resource efficient, and a more circular economy in Latin America, and also encouraging the SMEs in Latin America to adopt a cleaner and more sustainable process and practices as a key element of their competitiveness. The consortium is doing this by implementing different actions, but also by funding different projects that have been selected through calls for proposals. And as we are now halfway, I wanted just to give you a few numbers, and then I will stop and I leave the floor to the speakers. But we can say that more than 30,000 companies implemented sustainable practices in 15 different countries in Latin America. 66 projects have been granted, 2,000 SMEs declared that they have increased their volume, and 2,500 implemented organic and fair trade standards, norms, or certifications. We wanted, therefore, to share some inspiring practices that have been financed from the program. And this time we decided to focus on the fashion sector, as it's highly valued in Alinvest. And what we have planned for you is first that we will go through a presentation of the latest trends in the EU, like saying from a policy perspective. And we will do it with Oliver de Klerk, that is policy officer in DG Environment, and Giacomo Ferri, policy advisor in the European Apparel and Textile Confederation, which I really thank for their time. And then we will move through 3 practical cases that we have selected that are implementing sustainable textile and fashion initiatives in the Alinvest Verde. So I leave the floor to you, Mr. de Klerk, and I thank you all for being here. Do not forget that the Q&A session is foreseen at the end of every panel. Thank you so much, Oliver. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Greta, and good afternoon to all. Good morning for those who are on the other side of the ocean. So I have a short presentation to support what I will say. So my name is Olivier de Klerk. I work in the European Commission in Brussels in DG for the environment, the Director General for the environment in the unit dealing with sustainable products and eco-design. And I'm coordinating the implementation of the circular textile strategy that was adopted in 2022. Next slide, please. Yeah, I should speak slower for the interpretation, sorry. So this strategy I just mentioned was adopted in 2022, and it sets a kind of ideal vision of what circular textile should, the industry should, the textile industry should look like, and circular textile should look like. there should be by 2030. Of course, it's quite ambitious and maybe idealistic, but basically, I will not read the slide, but the objective is to make all textiles placed on the market durable, to promote recycling of fibers, to remove hazardous substances from textiles, and also to promote the respect of social rights, and to fight the fast and now the ultra-fast fashion, and to encourage reuse activities, repair activities, and make sure that the producer also do their part and take their own responsibility. So basically, we want to promote a longer lifespan for textiles and avoid single-use clothes or throwaway clothes, and develop the technologies, but also work with the sector to develop new business opportunities to reach this objective. Next slide. And the strategy is focusing on the three main phases of the life of textile products: the design phase, the use phase, and then the end of the life of those products. I will detail those aspects in the next slide. So, but basically, you see the logic from the design phase, the consumer phase, and then the waste phase. Next slide. A key element is because it starts from there, it's on the design side is the new eco-design for sustainable products regulation that was adopted last year, and that is now entering into force. It's a framework legislation, as we call it, which means that we set the general idea of that we can set eco-design requirements for all types of products, including textiles, and in this case, apparel textiles, clothes. This means that we are preparing the criteria that all producers placing clothes, new products on the EU market will have to comply with. And this is a long process. We are working with the sector, with the NGOs, and with the also scientists to develop those parameters. And at the moment, we are looking at possible parameters like durability, recyclability, also information on the environmental impacts based on product environmental footprint, for instance, possible recycled content targets or recycled content information, and also information regarding the presence of a substance of concern. I need to insist that this is currently being assessed. It's not decided yet. The idea is to have this adopted at the end of 2026, early 27. And we are at all stage of this process consulting the stakeholders, but it will have an impact, of course, on third countries. Those producers that are exporting to the EU, they will have to comply with those future requirements. Once they will be adopted in 2027, there will be at least 18 months to comply with. And as I said, there could be either performance requirements or information requirements on the different parameters. And also an important feature of this new regulation is that we are developing what we call the digital product passport, which will help all the economic actors along the value chain, even from the production of the fiber until the end of the life of the product, to have access to information on for instance, the content of the materials that have been used, the way they can be recycled, reused, also on the carbon footprint, product environmental footprint, or all types of information that I mentioned just before. So this will be an important feature, and we also thinking of developing specific labels. It's important to note that, of course, this eco-design regulation covers all types of products, as I said, and we have just adopted a working plan that is available online, which sets the priorities for the next 5 years. And apart from textiles, we will work on tires, for instance, on furniture, on steel, aluminium, and so on. Next slide. So that was for the design phase. Now on the use phase and the consumer stage, let's say, we have adopted at Commission at European level. Sorry, we have modified the consumer law in 2024, in 2023, but it entered into force in 2024, which forbids now the greenwashing, and it aims at tackling greenwashing, which forbids generic environmental claims. And it sets a general principle that all environmental claims must be substantiated, verified, and well communicated. So this is a general principle, and it will be, technically developed and specified in the future Green Claims Directive, which will explain how this can be done, how the substantiation can be implemented, and the verification system, and how the environmental claims should be communicated. This directive is still in discussion at the Parliament and with the Council. Currently, it's a bit on hold, but we hope it might continue its path. We will see, depending on the agreement that will be reached with the co-legislator. So that's an important element, is really to increase the information of the consumers and to make them informed so they can make sustainable choices, and also avoid that there are false green claims or environmental claims based on unsubstantiated information. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there was one slide missing. I don't know. There was one on the end of life of the textile products, but I will just say a few words on that. Basically, we have also on the waste phase of the textile products, we have now an obligation in the EU to collect separately all textile waste since the beginning of this year. This is an important element, of course, more for the European market and the European citizens and municipalities. Okay, so this was the slide. Thank you. And also, we will have in the coming months and years a new system of extended producer responsibility that will help finance not only the separate collection of textiles, but also reuse activities. This will be based on a kind of small fee that will be paid when placing a textile product on the market. And those fees can be modulated in function of different parameters, those parameters that we will use for the eco-design. And also we can also, with these fees, possibly with the modulation of these fees, target the fast fashion, that possibility that is left to the member states. And also important to note, there was also a revision of the waste shipment regulation, which kind of bans the export of textile waste to non-OECD countries from the EU, and also clarifies, aims at clarifying the difference between what is waste and what is reusable textiles, which will still be able to circulate. I had only 7 minutes. I don't know whether I stick to that, but it was, of course, a challenge to go through all those initiatives, and I'm happy to reply to the questions. And just to mention that these were initiatives that we are now implementing because they were adopted under the Green Deal, under the previous Commission mandate. Now the challenge will be to implement them, and we will have also as part of the new Commission mandate, a new Circular Economy Act, which will basically promote a market for secondary raw materials, for recycling notably, and also develop circular, help promote circular business models and so on. It's at an early stage of preparation, but maybe for textiles and for the sector of textile, an important feature is that we will have another round of simplification and harmonization of the extended producer responsibility system. For exporters especially, it will be important that they will have a kind of one-stop shop to comply with this obligation. So that's an objective. It's not, of course, we are still in the preparation phase, so it can still evolve. Thank you.
Many thanks, Oliver. I would first give the floor to you, Giacomo. And in the meantime, I remind everyone that if you have questions, please do not hesitate to use the Q&A session or to raise the hand once it will be the Q&A session will be open. Thank you again, Oliver. Giacomo, the floor is yours.
Good morning and good evening, everyone, depending on where you are following today from the world. Thank you, Greta, and thank you, Roxana, for giving the opportunity to present the views of the European apparel and textile sector on this very, very important topic. So just to follow up and expand a bit on Olivier's great presentation. First, I will briefly introduce Eurotex. So we are an industry confederation. We represent the entire European textile and apparel industry, also including Turkey, the UK, Norway, so let's say the broad European area. We represent over 200,000 companies with a turnover of over 160 billion euros. So as Olivier briefly mentioned, this is indeed a transformative time for the European textile and apparel industry. We are facing, let's say, 16 different pieces of legislation that affect the entire sector, including the ones that Olivier presented, but including others such as the textile labeling regulation. I will not go further into detail into that, otherwise we would stay here the entire day. But indeed, as I said, it is a challenging environment economically. We very much live and breathe by our international trade. We do about 63 billion euros of exports and 118 billion euros of imports. And as you can imagine, the current trade challenges are very much affecting the economic and industrial climate in Europe right now. As I said, again, this is a complex economic environment, but also because it is an opportunity for change. We have participated, and as a sector, we very much follow the European Commission in their circular economy and sustainability strategy for the textile industry. We very much appreciate the political signals coming from the Commission regarding both strengthening European competitiveness for companies, while also keeping, let's say, the torchlight of sustainability ongoing. To give a bit of background on data regarding sustainable textiles and recyclability in Europe, I pulled up some figures that I had from 2020. So we produce about 6 million tons of clothing in Europe. And to that, we add about 10 million tons of clothing consumed. So around 16 million tons in total. Of those 16 million tons, about 2.2 is collected by various recycling organizations around Europe. And another 1.2 is instead resold in secondhand shops, for example. Now, of those 2.2 collected, we have 0.9 of those, which are million tons of clothing and textiles that are recycled, some of which gets exported outside of the EU, which is now going to be, let's say, described and ruled by the waste shipment regulation. And some of it is instead recycled in Europe. So it's about 0.9 of 16 million tons of clothing. So we currently still are, let's say, at an early stage of the sustainable and recycling industry in Europe, which is why we very much depend on European legislation and political willingness from the EU to keep following this path for the industry to grow, to mature and to become an important pillar of the textile industry itself. Regarding also the amount of recycled textiles and the amount right now, the situation is a bit different. We've been facing very high imports of, let's say, low-cost clothing, especially from China, from Temu and Shein, that does not respect often EU environmental and quality standards. Most of this clothing that is sold from these online retailers is not recycled. It is often either thrown out and simply does not go into the value chain of recycling, which presents a significant problem for the industry. Lastly, I just wanted to add a quick point. I see that at least most of these participants here, and the point of Alinvest Verde is connecting Latin America also with sustainability and green practices. As I said before, we are an industry that lives and dies by its international trade in many ways. And we are very happy to see how many people indeed are interested from Latin America on this. Also because the European textile and apparel industry currently does relatively little trade with South America. So, for example, with the whole Mercosur region, we do about €500 million of trade a year. And I hope this webinar will be a good opportunity for many in South America, but also in Europe, to further our ties in terms of also sustainability and the textile sector, to encourage more connection and further trade between the two. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Giacomo, for your inspiring speech full of data. Many thanks. I would first leave the floor to the participants in case you want to take the floor and to ask directly for questions. No one? Shy participation today, or maybe everything clear. I don't know if the other speakers also have possible questions. Okay, I see in the meantime one question in the chat. So I will first read it and then I will see if someone else raised the hand. So Gillian, I don't know if I pronounce correctly, is asking if the EU raised tariffs on Chinese goods from China. If the EU will raise a tariff on Chinese goods from China and Temu. And a second question is, how does France new regulation regarding fast fashion affects the EU? I don't know if Olivier, you would like to take this question.
Yeah, I can take those two first questions, but maybe Giacomo, it would be good to also have Giacomo's perspective on that, definitely. Which are those two questions concern that well, initiatives that are at an early stage, but there are some discussions and reflection at EU level to deal with the issue, not specifically of Shein and Temu, because we are not targeting, well, there are some specific cases, I mean, cases that are dealt with by compliance authorities on the companies, but that's very technical and legal. So there are some cases where they are not respecting EU law, and they are kind of there is a follow-up from the legal side. But on the tariffs issue, I mean, there are some reflections on the issue of small parcels, because there are millions of small parcels that are coming in the EU market every month, and there is it's impossible to control them, and some of those of course are from those companies that I mentioned, and so there is a big issue in terms of compliance, customs control, and so on. So there are some reflections to have kind of fee or tax of a few euros on those parcels, but it's at this stage it's not decided. But yeah, it's not a tariff as such. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not my specialty, and maybe Giacomo knows a bit more on that. But so yeah, that's something we are looking at the moment at Commission level with the member states and with the EU industry. On the second question, rapidly, yes, France has adopted a draft law on fast fashion, which has just been notified to the Commission service, because this is the process that, since it's an initiative by one member state, the Commission has a look at it for kind of check with the rules of the single market. And we are currently assessing this law. So at this stage, it's not adopted, finally adopted yet. So it has no direct impact so far. So we will first have to assess whether it sticks with the rules of the single market. There are some interesting ideas in this law, but of course the problem is always when you take initiatives from one member state, it makes life very difficult for the economic players to know what happens in France and then Germany. So that's why we will try to work as much as possible at EU level on those questions. But the initiative from France might trigger some initiatives at EU level. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
But maybe
Oliver.
Giacomo wants
Giacomo,
to.
if you want to add something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Sure. Actually, on the second question regarding the French regulation, I'd say, I mean, you pretty much covered it perfectly. Regarding the first one, so we've engaged with the Commission quite a bit on this topic. From what we know, I mean, the EU is taking a multifaceted approach on it. So they're, for example, using the Digital Services Act to investigate platforms. For example, there was one on AliExpress that was recently concluded. They concluded that AliExpress was using anti-competitive and addictive practices on its app and website to, let's say, entice consumers to overconsume, while also falsely advertising some of its products. And then, of course, as Olivier mentioned, there's the whole discussion about the Union Customs Code, reforming the EU customs to make it adapted to the 21st century, which includes also this proposal of a handling fee of €2. We don't think €2 will be enough to really make a dent in the imports currently incoming from these online platforms. Just to give very small bit of context, we get 12 million parcels imported every day in the EU, every day. So, I mean, it's really almost a tsunami, and €2 will not really do much about it unless we restructure the entire customs architecture. So, for example, instituting a EU-wide customs authority that can collect customs data on all the imports, so we can have much better monitoring, as well as abolishing the €150 de minimis fee. Currently, every good imported under €150 is not subject to customs controls or any kind of tariffs. So that's very much a priority for us as Eurotex. And then just the last point to respond to the question I saw about a website where the data I mentioned regarding the numbers of production. So I believe some of it is on our Eurotex website, but it's taken from a McKinsey report from 2022 about circularity in the European Union. I'm not sure if that report is public or not. I encourage you to look online. I'm really not sure because we have it in our database, but again, I'm not sure if it's public or not, but it comes from a McKinsey report in 2022, sorry.
In the meantime, I've just shared the link of your website, and maybe a last question for you, Oliver. Pauline is asking, how will the clarification be made between textile waste and reusable clothes?
Yeah, that's part of the implementation of the waste shipment regulation, and it's a work that is ongoing with my colleagues in the waste unit. And also we are working with international partner in close link with the Basel Convention, I think, and with the industry, of course. I can, what I would suggest on this, I can provide you with a link with more detailed information because it's quite technical, where you can find more information on this. But basically, yeah, that's still ongoing. It's not adopted yet. But maybe Giacomo also wants to comment on that because it's an important one for the industry as well.
Nothing much to add from my side. I would say you covered it quite well.
Many thanks. I think, okay, let's pick this last question. The digital product passport, will water consumption be included for textile? Diana is asking.
Yes, I'm afraid I will have to give a similar reply that it's since, I mean, these are all recent legislation and we are working on their implementation. The exact content of the information requirements that will be put on textile, as I said, they will be adopted at the end of 2026, early 2027. This kind of information could, in theory, be part of the digital product passport as like other parameters. That's the advantage of this passport, that which will allow the consumers, but not only the consumers, all the interested parties, economic actors along the chain, to have access to this kind of information, and water consumption could be one of them. But of course, the idea, well, if we take the example of the product environmental footprint, is to focus on the most important parameters for a dedicated product, in this case, textile. So we will have to assess whether water consumption is relevant. It could be, of course, but the idea is not to focus on one aspect. It's of course to address all the types of impacts and to make sure that we don't miss other impacts, direct or indirect impacts. So water consumption is one element, but of course, it's not the only one.
Many thanks. Thanks, Oliver, and thanks, Giacomo. Thanks also to the audience, that at the beginning was quite shy, but then warmed up. And I think we can leave the floor to the second section of this webinar, that is to showcase some inspiring practices of what we are doing with Alinvest, because as Giacomo reminded, yeah, I mean, it's also the objective of the project to try to support the SMEs in Latin America to be more competitive, but with a sustainable perspective. So I invite on stage virtually Rafael Mossi-Pero, that is the director of the competitive area from the Chamber of Commerce of Valencia, Spain, Montse Ibanez, project coordinator of Text4, and Carla Cid, international project promotion manager from Text4 as well, and Bras Costa, director from CITEVE. I first give the floor to Rafael, that is already ready in sharing his screen. Rafael, the floor is yours.
Muy bien. Muchísimas gracias, Greta. Muchísimas gracias a Eurocámaras. También a la oportunidad que tenemos de compartir con todos los asistentes, aunque no nos veamos la cara, pero sí de forma virtual. Yo creo que también es un avance, ¿no?, el que nos podamos compartir experiencias. Luego eso significa que el chat tiene que echar humo. Hay que preguntar más para que podamos compartir entre todos. Yo creo que una experiencia en un sector muy importante, ¿no? Yo lo que he puesto, le he dicho, un hilo de esperanza, ¿no? E indudablemente, pues necesitamos trabajar y hacer más sostenible este sector que indudablemente, pues en diversos rankings de contaminación, de impacto al entorno, está en el top 3, top 2, top 5, depende. Probablemente pues quien quiera dar pues mayor énfasis al impacto más importante, ¿no? En temas de contaminación de agua, de emisiones de CO2, de gases de efecto invernadero, lo que es gestión de residuos, ¿no? Pues dependiendo, pues ahí nos podemos encontrar unos y otros. Así lo hemos estado viendo dentro de este proyecto Alinvest, que hemos estado trabajando con Colombia, en la zona de Manizales, con la Cámara de Comercio y más cámaras también de toda esa región, muy interesantes, que luego nos comentará también Monse. Y os tengo que decir que cuando nosotros estamos hablando de moda sostenible, que es muy importante, me refiero el que tengamos en consideración la sostenibilidad en este sector, pues estamos hablando desde materias de sostenibilidad, diseño duradero, es decir, hay muchos aspectos, ¿no? Hemos estado hablando también de temas incluso de ecodiseño, ¿no? De lo que es la reutilización, incluso la reparabilidad, ¿no? Diseño duradero, por ejemplo, os pongo aquí muy curioso. Nosotros tenemos aquí en la Comunidad Valenciana, en España, un instituto tecnológico muy importante, que tiene una dimensión internacional también muy importante, se llama ITEX, y que trabaja con una norma sobre el tema de durabilidad muy interesante, ¿no? Pero vemos de que ya empieza a haber muchos sellos, logos de carácter más oficial, más oficioso, más privado, pero que ya hay experiencias. Por ejemplo, pues tenemos Infina, que es una fibra reciclada a partir de residuos textiles ricos en algodón, que se van trabajando. Tintoremus, pues una empresa que está en Cáceres, donde trabaja pues a partir de tintes naturales. Pequeñas empresas aquí en la Comunidad Valenciana que están trabajando, pero que también seguro que en otros países europeos y que también en Latinoamérica se está trabajando ese campo, porque es algo a profundizar, ¿no? Indudablemente. También tenemos muy importante lo que es la producción ética. Podemos encontrarnos empresas, por ejemplo, os he puesto aquí este grupo abajo, que no es que sea ni una multinacional, ni Inditex, como luego os pongo también ahí, ni grandes marcas, ¿no? Sino que cómo van reconociendo y haciendo como valor propio lo que es la importancia de la producción ética en la elección de proveedores de vestuario empresarial, por ejemplo, que es un subsector que mueve muchísimo dinero, que mueve muchísimo. Ahí hay un campo muy importante y como ven que lo que es una serie de requisitos, una serie de lo que serían, ¿cómo os diría?, como un reglamento que tienen y para que realmente sea una producción ética y que realmente lo ponen en valor para que así sus clientes lo sepan valorar, ¿no? Y luego la economía circular. La economía circular, os he puesto una frase de Inditex, que os podéis encontrar, y que lo hacen muy propio, que dice que es muy interesante, porque dice, la circularidad comienza con el diseño. Fundamental, fundamental, ¿no? Yo os tengo que decir que cuando redactamos en AENOR, que luego posteriormente apareció como una norma de ecodiseño previsto en ISO, empezamos a trabajar y yo recuerdo que comentaba en el grupo que hicimos la redacción de esta norma de ecodiseño a nivel nacional, yo decía, el éxito del ecodiseño será cuando desaparezca el prefijo eco y realmente se interiorice dentro del diseño todo lo que tiene que ver con impacto ambiental, con todo lo que tiene que ver, incluso si lo agrandamos, impacto social, económico y ambiental, ¿no? Yo creo que indudablemente cuando estamos hablando de economía circular, estamos hablando también, cómo no, de prácticas que se están dando. Por ejemplo, hay un estudio muy interesante que hicieron el año pasado, la Asociación para la Gestión del Residuo Textil y el Calzado, y en el cual, por ejemplo, comentaba que más del 55% estaban utilizando ya ropas usadas de segunda mano, donde pues determinadas plataformas que todos sabemos están teniendo su lugar y su situación, ¿no? Comentaba también, decía que, por ejemplo, el 60%, el 59,5%, le gustaría comprar textil y o calzado hecho con materiales reciclados. Más del 83%, por ejemplo, pues se pensaban que debía existir un sistema nacional de recuperación. Es decir, que cada vez más vemos son porcentajes elevados, cada vez más, todo lo que tiene que ver con la economía circular y dar una segunda vida o tercera vida o las que fueran, que tiene mucho que ver con lo que es la durabilidad que anteriormente hemos estado comentando, pues se está dando totalmente. Ahí os pongo lo que es un sistema de gestión que está aquí en Valencia, lo está aquí en la Comunidad Valenciana, lo está llevando Texlinka, que es una empresa que lleva muchos años en todo lo que es valorización de residuos de textiles, y como de alguna manera, como podéis ver, hay muchísimos nodos, muchísimos puntos que están interrelacionados y vinculados, siempre para intentar que exista una valorización, ¿no? Y en este caso, a fin de cuentas, para intentar reducir la cantidad de materias primas como tales que estamos utilizando y poder reintroducir en el propio mercado, en su propio proceso, ¿no? Antes os hablaba de Inditex, pero para que veáis también, ahí os he puesto también la página web, dice, la moda es más que un reflejo de las tendencias, es un medio de expresión de identidad, es una herramienta de cambio. Esto tiene que ver mucho con lo que estamos hablando, porque lo que nosotros intentamos con estos proyectos como el Invest es que sea una herramienta de cambio, que la sostenibilidad, el concepto de sostenibilidad, nos pueda cambiar todo nuestro modelo de proceso productivo y también de modo de compra, que es muy importante. Bueno, y ahí os pongo una serie de compromisos que están trabajando, como también os pongo, por ejemplo, Patagonia, que bien yo creo que lo conocéis, donde dice todo lo que hacemos tiene un impacto en el planeta, eso ya lo reconoce, y reconoce de que su socio principal es el planeta, que también es una manera de enfocar todo el negocio, ¿no? Todo lo que es la reparabilidad, los materiales, el programa que tienen ellos, programa de responsabilidad social. Yo eso lo pongo porque cada vez más nosotros lo que alentamos también es que las medianas y las grandes empresas comunican mucho. Habrá greenwashing o no, eso ya será otro tema, pero hay una serie de ideas que incluso las pequeñas pueden adoptar y pueden coger, ¿no? Con lo cual nosotros muchas veces alentamos también a ello en jornadas, también aprovechando este programa, al Invest, pues con Colombia, con la Cámara de Comercio y Manizales y demás, y otras dos universidades de allí, pues estamos mostrando también buenas prácticas que puedan ser tratadas para las pymes. Aquí os pongo también, ¿no?, cómo la innovación y la sostenibilidad están muy de la mano, muy ligadas, ¿no? Y puedes hacer innovación y darte cuenta de que tiene una repercusión y una vinculación con la sostenibilidad y viceversa, que para hacer algunas actuaciones más sostenibles realmente estás innovando, llevando, ¿no? Como esta empresa de aquí. Yo ya voy a ir terminando, pero por ejemplo, ya hay muchas cosas en la red que os pueden ayudar, en Internet, como el red fiscal, materiales responsables, ahí tenéis muchísimas cosas, ¿no? Pero es muy importante, lo han dicho, el greenwashing es fundamental, porque el engañar a la gente al final es como un boomerang, se vuelve en contra de la propia empresa, ¿no? Yo creo que hay que ser muy cuidadosos. Nosotros desde la Cámara de Comercio muchas veces pues ayudamos a las empresas a saber expresar y a saber decir las cosas sin que quieran decir cosas que no son, que eso es muy importante, ¿no? Bien, e indudablemente hay muchos retos y oportunidades también, que se nos abren muchísimo. Por ejemplo, todo lo que es economía compartida, economía colaborativa, lo que es el blockchain, la trazabilidad, eh, mm, todo lo que tiene que ver el que realmente a lo largo de toda la cadena de valor estén todos alineados, ¿no? Y yo creo que en el fondo la moda, esta moda sostenible, esta batalla que se está haciendo al usar y tirar, que en principio parecía que fuese un nicho, pues realmente va a ser un estándar de calidad, un estándar, poder pasar del precio al aprecio. Es decir, de que solamente lo barato es lo que yo adquiero, a comprar por apreciar los valores que están transmitiendo y que están vinculados a esa marca, a esa prenda que yo adquiero. Porque el adquirir esa acción libre de compra es asociarte y darle oxígeno y existencia a esas empresas, a ese modelo yo os diría que incluso de sociedad. Por eso es fundamental el que podamos compartir, yo creo, como aquí estamos haciendo ahora, pues experiencias y buenas prácticas en donde las empresas puedan adoptarlas y puedan llevarlos y puedan ver, muy importante, que ser sostenible les va a hacer que sean más competitivos en el mercado y que no es todo aranceles, no es todo precio, lo que se estaba comentando. Si nosotros apreciamos los valores que hay detrás de esa empresa, todos estos valores que están y que se dan en la Unión Europea y que seguro que en países también en Latinoamérica se están dando y quieren darse y tenemos una cultura compartida, venceremos a aquellos que solamente se fijan en lo económico, en el valor monetario de las cosas. Muchísimas gracias y quedo abierto a cualquier pregunta que queráis.
Muchas gracias. No. I have to switch now. Thank you so much, Rafael, for your intervention. Sorry, I have to switch my, okay, because I had the translation, so I was hearing myself twice. I just give the floor directly to Carla and Montse so that we can keep on with the inspiring practices, and then I will leave the floor for the questions. So Carla, Montse, the floor is yours.
Should I share my screen or you can share it, Greta?
I share my screen.
You share it?
Yes. Can you see it?
Yes, but can you present it in full screen? Dónale a presentar. A ver si funciona. Ahora, okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Carla, and I'm the International Promotion Manager at Texfor, and I'm here together with Montse Ibañez, who is the head of European projects, also in Texfor. I just wanted to thank everyone who is joining this session, and we will share our experience working in the Alinvest project called Mundo Verde. Here's the content we will be covering in our session. We will make a short introduction about Texfor and which is our role in Mundo Verde. Also, since we didn't explain what's Mundo Verde about, I will make a little introduction about the project objective. We will also cover our visit to Colombia, and also the visit of the Colombian delegation to Barcelona and the best practices we share with them during their time with us. So Texfor is the Confederation of the Textile Industry. We are a non-profit association that groups the manufacturing companies from the first part of the value chain. These are spinners, weavers, and companies that finish and dye textiles. We have more than 400 members, and we have two main functions, which are our paper as a lobby organization. We are present in the national and international organizations that seek to protect the rights and benefit the textiles companies like Eurotex, or at the national level we have conversation and are related with the national government, etc. And we also work as a cluster. We provide different services to our associates, like internationalization, sustainability, European projects, legal advice, and we also do and perform activities to improve the competitiveness of our companies. Just as a little introduction, now what's Mundo Verde? Mundo Verde is an all-invest program that's putting into contact Spanish companies with Colombian companies. The goal of the program is to transfer good practices from Spain to the Colombian SMEs from the coffee belt of Colombia. And the project tackles several industries, which are the agro industry, the manufacturing industry with a focus on textile. This is why we are taking part on this project. Also services and recycling associations. And our role in the program is mainly to transfer good practices in the areas of sustainability and textile circularity, and to share our experiences with Colombia and find a common ground so that they can also implement these best practices into their SMEs. The project wants to reach almost 500 SMEs, so it's pretty ambitious, but yeah, next slide. I just wanted to make a short mention about the kickoff visit we had last June in Colombia. The project is set to last 2 years. So we started, as I said, in June 2024. We went to Colombia together with Raf as well to set the starting point of the program, the activities that we would be working on, and also the milestones. We had the opportunity to conduct several workshops where we share sustainability practices from Spanish companies with Colombian organizations, and it was a very enriching meeting point to see the demands of the Colombian companies and Colombian entrepreneurs. So I will start with some practical examples of sustainability in some of our associated companies. I will start with Previn. They are fabric manufacturers, and they also finish and dye the fabrics they produce. What's interesting from their company is that they have a whole design department which is very focused on eco-design. They design all their textiles which are mainly devoted to home textiles like sofas, curtains, and all of this. In this department, they think from the beginning which is going to be the whole process and the whole application of the textile so that they can easily recycle their textiles. What is also interesting is that they take the excess fabric of the agers when they produce the fabric. There is some fabric that is wasted, so they pick up this waste and they send it to a facility on the north of Catalonia, which breaks the fiber and creates yarn based on this waste tissue. This yarn is used to manufacture the linings that go inside the fabrics that they sell for the sofas and curtains and everything. So they close the loop with this process. They also have a water system with which they are able to recycle until 90% of the water they use to dye and finish their fabrics. So they use ultrafiltration to not waste the water, which is also a very interesting advancement. You can put the video, Monse. Yeah, we wanted to share with you a very short video about their sustainability practices, which is very interesting. No sé, s'ha obert?
Can you see it?
No,
Oh,
I
no,
think
yes.
you have to leave the full screen and play the video.
Now?
No.
No.
Wait.
Now we can see it.
Can you hear it?
No. It's without audio, maybe, Monse? Audio sharing.
Do you want me to share it, maybe? Monse?
What?
You want me to share it?
We are seeing the video, but the video is without the audio. So I don't know if you want to reshare with the audio, or Carla was suggesting like that she could also share the video.
It's up to you, Carla. If you can,
Yeah,
I
let me share it.
can share it. Yes.
Yeah, we also tried before, but
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think we cannot share it because the organizer has to give permission. Okay, you will send the presentation afterwards, Greta, maybe, so you
yes.
can also see the video, yeah. So maybe we can continue with the presentation.
Or maybe in the meantime, we can also put the video link in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do it.
You cannot hear it?
No, I send the link on the chat. Maybe we can continue with the
Okay.
presentation.
Or I can also try to share as I'm here now. Last attempt.
Okay.
The thing is that I don't have the option to share audio, to share
Ah,
Turn on the audio,
because
that's why
you
maybe
cannot hear anything.
you as an organizer can share it, yeah.
then me neither. Okay, sorry. So it's our fault.
In any case, it doesn't have any audio, it just the sound only. If you wanted to see it, maybe we can explain a little bit what about the images. I don't know. It's about.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, then I will share again. I'm so sorry. Let me check.
Sorry, because I think it's our. Before it was working.
Yes, I don't know. I don't understand anything. This is the
The
textile
fabric
waste.
waste that I was talking about, they collect everything and they send it to this local spinner on the north of Catalonia who is breaking the fibers and producing yarn based on the waste.
And this is how the textile waste has been generated into a new product. I will share again the presentation with you. Can you see it again?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, another example of sustainability practices is Infinite Athletics. This is a company that has some bins on the tennis clubs where people who have broken rackets can leave them there, and they would collect them and separate the strings and create pallets with our little plastic pieces, which they burn, and they produce yarn based on this plastic. This yarn is used to manufacture garments for sports, which they also resell. So they found this little niche, which produced also a lot of waste, and they found a way to introduce the waste of the rackets into new products. And the last example is the Laterware, which is a company that takes curtains, sheets, and this kind of fabrics from hotels and restaurants. This is a very premium kind of fabric, so it's very interesting to produce new garments based on these curtains and sheets. They collect them and they remove the imperfections of the fabrics, like the names or some etiquettes, and they produce new garments like uniforms that are used by the people who work on these hotels and restaurants. They produce every new garment locally, so they are employing people, mainly old people, on producing these new garments.
Thank you, Carla. That's my turn. I will continue in Spanish with your permission, because I feel more comfortable talking into Spanish. The second part of, perdón. La segunda parte de nuestra presentación se centra en la visita que hicieron las organizaciones del eje cafetero colombiano a Barcelona, entre otros territorios. Visitaron Barcelona y Valencia. En este caso hablaremos de las visitas que se hicieron a Barcelona y cuáles son las prácticas que compartimos con ellos. Visitaron diferentes empresas y se presentaron diversas iniciativas. Bueno, primero de todo, se hizo una pequeña formación en normativa y legislación europea alrededor de sostenibilidad textil. Como comentaba ya como antes, como vemos que es la oportunidad para establecer relaciones entre Latinoamérica y Europa, es importante también que se conozcan pues, los principios de esta normativa que se está implantando en Europa. Por otro lado, también presentamos el Pacto por la Moda Circular, que, bueno, el Pacto por la Moda Circular es una iniciativa que engloba los diferentes organismos de la cadena de valor. Entendemos que la sostenibilidad textil no se entiende si no están involucrados todos los organismos, ya sea empresas, como universidades, como organizaciones y gobiernos, centros tecnológicos, etc. En el Pacto por la Moda Circular aquí en Cataluña se ha conseguido sentar en una mesa a todos estos actores relevantes. ¿Para qué sirve? Sirve para enfocar pues, el futuro textil del territorio no solo desde la base de la empresa, sino también qué políticas deben iniciarse o deben fomentarse para poder ayudar a las empresas en ese paso hacia la sostenibilidad. Y como ejemplo, para empresas para todas las organizaciones, en este caso del eje cafetero. Intentamos mostrar la importancia que tiene de que tanto organismos públicos como privados colaboren para conseguir este hito de sostenibilidad. Como también se habló de los recicladores de oficio, es decir, existe una figura en Colombia que se denomina los recicladores de oficio, que es gestionan, pero de forma informal, lo que son los residuos en Colombia, y se habló de cómo profesionalizar a estos recicladores de oficio, y se presentó un caso de éxito en colaboración con el gobierno catalán y el gobierno de Bolivia en este caso, para profesionalizar y dignificar esta figura. A nosotros nos pareció interesante porque estos recicladores de oficio, como veréis en otra visita posterior, también tratan el residuo textil. Entonces es importante ver de qué manera poder tratar dicho residuo textil y generar riqueza a través de dicho residuo. Por ejemplo, en este caso se están estableciendo ya relaciones o están en contacto, ¿no? La Universidad de Manizales, junto con la Cámara de Comercio y la Agencia Catalana de Residuos, para intentar iniciar una iniciativa de este tipo en el eje cafetero. Posteriormente visitamos la empresa de hilaturas Jesús Rubio, que se dedica a realizar hilo de carda. Esta empresa se caracteriza por utilizar un porcentaje muy alto de textil postconsumo. Textil postconsumo es aquel que viene después de su uso del cliente final, que va a parar a los contenedores. Y utilizan gran porcentaje de textil postconsumo para crear nuevos hilos. Eso, pues lo que comentábamos, es importante para reducir el residuo textil, y así también como el uso de recursos naturales. Y también destacar que, por ejemplo, creímos muy importante porque Hilatura Jesús Rubio, en colaboración con otras empresas, ha conseguido desarrollar un hilo procedente de las bolsas de café usadas. Y como estábamos hablando de Colombia y el eje cafetero, creemos que tiene mucha relación y mucha importancia, y ver cómo así se pueden generar nuevas relaciones entre Latinoamérica y Europa. Otra empresa que se visitó fue Textil Ortiz. Textil Ortiz basa su sostenibilidad en ser muy eficiente, muy competitiva, y para mejorar esta acción no solo de sostenibilidad, sino de competitividad, afronta diversos frentes, ¿no? Como son el consumo de agua, la eficiencia de energía, el diseño circular e intentar conseguir el zero waste. Cuando hablamos de water consumption, comentar de que esta empresa vuelve a recircular el agua que utiliza, la vuelve a introducir en el proceso en un 90%, lo que supone un gran ahorro de agua. En temas de energía es totalmente autónoma con energía solar y energía geotérmica. Ha sustituido la energía convencional por energía solar y geotérmica. Y también está iniciando actividades para que los residuos textiles postconsumo puedan volver a su organización, para que puedan ser procesados y volver a generar tejido de nuevo. Invierte mucho en I+D, en innovación, y utiliza, digamos que reduce costes, por ejemplo, también en recursos humanos de lo que sería de planta. Es decir, hay pocos empleos en fabricación, sí que hay mucho empleo en diseño, comercial, etc. Y en I+D. El otro lado de de esta empresa sería Formació i Treball. Formació i Treball es una empresa que se dedica a recoger el residuo textil, se dedica al sorting y también trabaja con reciclaje. Esta organización es una organización sin ánimo de lucro que intenta, aparte, tenemos que tener en cuenta que la sostenibilidad no es solo cambio climático, sino que también tiene un aspecto social muy importante. Y aquí encontramos el aspecto social, ya que se dedica a emplear a personas con riesgo de exclusión social, pero sin perder de vista el beneficio. Es decir, es una empresa que ha conseguido a través del sorting, a través del reciclaje de productos postconsumo, encontrar el equilibrio entre beneficio y pues la ayuda a personas en riesgo de exclusión social. Aquí encontramos también un paralelismo con los recicladores de oficio y nos consta que también están en contacto actualmente a Formació i Treball con las organizaciones del eje cafetero para intentar empezar alguna iniciativa para poder instaurar acciones en este ámbito. Y como sé que vamos tarde, sin más dilatar, aquí ya estamos. Sí, hay otras presentaciones y otros vídeos dentro de la presentación que, como la compartiremos con ustedes, pueden profundizar un poco más y conocer estas acciones. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a vosotras. Y I switch again and I give the floor to Mr. Costa. It is our last but not least presentation.
The sound, and now I think I can share. Sorry. Okay, share this one. That's okay?
Yes, it's
Can you
perfect.
see?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here. Yeah, the relationship between Portugal and Latin America is very important for us because at minimum, we have a strong relationship with Brazil. We share culture and language and lots of contacts between the Portuguese and the Brazilian textile sectors, as well in other countries, namely Nicaragua, Chile, Argentina. In this context, I will talk about our project with Brazil, but first, with Spain me to be here. So let's explain what is CITEV. CITEV is the Technological Center for Textile and Clothing Industries in Portugal. But CITEV is not only this organization. We have a holding, including a company for certification purposes. That's accredited certification organism. And CENTI. CENTI is the Center for Nanotechnology and Smart Materials, or Advanced Materials, an important institute nowadays because, as I will refer afterwards, big improvements in sustainability in fashion need more and more and more technology. So this change is intense in technology, basically in terms of science and technology of materials. And of course, we have presence in several countries. In this context, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil are exactly in the scope of this program. Okay, just to understand the dimension of CITEV, we concluded last year with 255 full-time researchers and a turnover of 19 million euros. as you can see, we are growing a lot in the last years, and I can say that maybe sustainability is the big reason why we improved and we grew a lot in the last years. Okay, so some lab facilities we have, because one of our activities is related to testing and certification. And more important, maybe, is the pilot plants and facilities we have in order to get effective our research and development, trying to understand these developments and to test them in near to industry facilities. 2 or 3 slides about CENTI. CENTI is an association of several universities and research centers, and is completely oriented to science and technology of materials, mainly advanced materials like nanomaterials, and related to smartness like printed electronic and these kind of things. So of course, CENTI is more oriented to technical textiles applied to several sectors. As an overview of the laboratories we have, of course, cutting edge, in certain cases, cutting edge laboratories. Turnover 8 million euros last year, and we concluded the year with more 203 researchers. Of course, our patent track record is in the Portuguese context is very important. At this moment, we have almost 100 active patents. So let's go to the purpose of this presentation. This is more or less the evolution of the sector in Portugal. So in 1989, when CITEV was created, the big challenge in Portugal, maybe in Spain was exactly the same, was quality. So the main part of the Portuguese product or business were based on low labor cost. Several problems at that time, unemployment and bankruptcy of several companies, and the big intervention, a big and good public policies at that moment created the technological center, but as well a huge program to improve the industrial capacities. So quality certification at that time were the more important areas. With the announcement of the integration of China in WTO, new challenges, big challenge in Europe at that time, and at the same time, the north of Portugal, in collaboration with the northern part of Spain, namely with Inditex, mainly with Inditex, we started in a new way to produce textiles, because Inditex needed at that time productive cluster nearby, and at the same time the northern part of Portugal was claiming to have a new kind of business to be sustainable. And during this part of the evolution of the sector, we were focused on quick response and flexibility. Of course, fast fashion needs exactly that. But at the same time, we started in Portugal with an approach to technical textiles. Big companies like TMG Automotive and other companies oriented to technical textiles were born in this period. And of course, sustainability, the concept is in evolution. We started in the 90s with technologies for wastewater treatment, and then cleaner technologies to avoid the use of water. And I want to give you an overview of what we consider now. From 2009, we decided to approach in a different way sustainability, of course, including responsibility, social responsibility, but a new area was born at that moment. So we realized that the small improvements Of course, less water means less energy and less chemicals. This is very important, of course, but something completely new must be implemented. And we started a new strategy, including the materials part of sustainability. Why? Because we realized that to import raw materials from the other side of the world, namely polyester and cotton, is not sustainable. The impact is huge. But to avoid this problem, a new approach to raw materials must be adopted. And the only way we have in Europe to produce fibers at this moment, I think, is to use forest products, namely wood, to produce cellulose fibers. At the same time, to a new approach to natural fibers, natural chemicals for dyeing, for finishing, and so on. And at the end of the day, in 2020, we rewrote the strategy, including the so-called bioeconomy. Bioeconomy is completely in line with the new policies in Europe. And at this moment is the strongest line of research we have in CDEV. So bioeconomy, I will show you the complete strategy. We established it in 2020 and in implementation now with 5 main pillars. The first one related to bio raw and secondary materials, fibers, but not only fibers, agro-symbiosis and industrial symbiosis to transform waste from other industries like wood industry or fish transformation industry or meat industry in order to have raw materials for textiles. Nowadays, we are producing protein fibers from meat waste in a similar approach to cellulosic fibers from wood. And as well, some companies developed installations to produce products for finishing and to obtain color from biosources like bacteria or waste from agro-food and so on. The second one, circularity. So we bet on biochem recycling, but as well mechanical recycling. At this moment, only mechanical recycling is a good business, but of course, we exhorted some companies and some plants are in implementation now, as well supported by PRR, to create to approach this business as a new business to produce raw material chemicals from biosources. The third one is related to traceability, validation, and certification. And the last one, at the beginning, the name was labeling of the future, but the concept is exactly what is established like a digital product passport. So the idea was to create something digital to include more information. It's not possible to have more responsible consumers without more and better information to allow a good decision in the moment of the purchase. So we transform that in a digital product passport. At this moment, we have in Portugal a system not to comply because the European TPP is not yet completely defined, but we decided to implement a version of this DPP with some information we consider compulsory in the future. For the colleague that asked about water, of course, water is very important. Water, I guess, will be one of the parameters in the DPP. The fourth one is for the first time, a technological center included a pillar of communication. It's not to communicate the project, not some webinars or some conferences. No, this is a pillar, a crucial pillar in order to communicate with several targets. Of course, the final consumer, but as well policymakers and industry, in order to explain them what is sustainability, what is not sustainability, and to create awareness as well for the strategies or tactics companies can follow in order to have sustainability, including economic sustainability. And the final one is related to water. Water is energy and chemicals. So this is one of the biggest projects we have now, including the use of new IT information technologies, like, of course, artificial intelligence, in order to improve the management of water inside a house. And the result is about 40% less water in the processes, what is really, really amazing. All these projects are now implemented, near to close, and new companies were created. So our relationship with Brazil was in this framework. So to share with them the results we have in this approach, because some differences between Portugal and Brazil at this moment. For Portugal is crucial this approach to sustainability. I mean, maybe without this approach, we are not competitive, because only able to produce different things in a different way, we can have textile in Europe in the future. Even in this case, we have lots of challenges related to the lack of people to work inside our companies. But in any case, nowadays, without sustainability, the dimension of the business in Portugal was, of course, less and less. So we started with something very important, and maybe one of the more difficult approaches to be implemented: eco-design and eco-engineering. Why? Because, first of all, fashion schools, they hate material science, they hate everything related to industrialization. No professors there able to teach style, design, including the impact of each decision in the production and the impact in the environment of this product. So we started in Portugal to train the professors of the design schools. And then in this project, we shared with Brazil the good practices we have in this case. So our intervention was mainly oriented to designers in order to explain what is relevant in the moment to design a garment, thinking about the process, thinking about the materials, thinking about the recycling possibilities, of course, avoiding blends, of course, avoiding this kind of elements that can transform recycling in impossibility. So the result was very, very nice, because, of course, when we talk about recycling, not only recycling, but as well reuse or repair, and these principles. Of course, I believe in all of that principles, but of course, in terms of industry, what is more important is recycling, and it's very important, mainly in an amazing country with a biodiversity lovely. And I think that Brazil have the right conditions to lead this movement to use bio sources for more bio and sustainable fashion. The results were very good because the intervention was hands-on with Portuguese people there, designers, engineers in contact with designers in Brazil. And the result, I'm sure the project is not yet completed, but till now we had very, very nice results. Last, not the least, the idea was not to involve just the people inside the room involved in the project, but to create something to spread the idea. So we developed a guide to be spreaded in Brazil, in all the schools, all the professionals, companies, and so on, because we realized that this kind of information, these guides, are very important for those guys that in the background don't have nothing about materials, and to know materials and the nature of materials is crucial to be a good designer in the future. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Bras. I don't know if the guide is already available and can be shared already with the participants. We are already a bit out of time, but I don't know if there's 2 questions for our speakers. There's one in the chat. This was a bit provocative about Inditex. Rafael, when you were speaking, Monica is asking like that, yeah, Inditex is working in sustainability, but however, there's like the collections and the quantities of products that they produce are huge. So if you or Bras would like to go through this question, otherwise I was before
he leído.
seeing.
Sí. Es decir, el problema de Inditex es que vende a muchos sitios y en muchos lugares. Es decir, que tiene una gran producción en los cuales ellos han basado pues, el cambio de las colecciones rápidamente. Pero te tengo que decir una cosa, a nivel reputacional, te tengo que decir que un estudio muy potente, que es el monitor empresarial de reputación corporativa, te tengo que decir que sale en el 3er puesto. Es de los primeros, en el top 3, con lo cual Inditex, bueno, hay gente como todo en esta vida, podemos hablar de Coca-Cola, podemos hablar de Iberdrola, de Repsol, de muchas otras empresas, por no citar más, y fuera de España, ¿no? Pero la realidad es que por lo que nosotros conocemos, y por la realidad aquí en España, por lo menos, lo más próximo que nosotros conocemos, es que el nivel de reputación que tiene Inditex, de sensibilidad que tienen estos campos, con mejora, se ve cuando uno acude a una tienda, por lo menos las que yo suelo acudir también, por aquello de no hablar de otros lugares, pero, por ejemplo, en temas tanto de lo que es el packaging, tanto lo que es ahorro de eficiencia energética, tanto lo que es determinados productos también, tejidos, etcétera. En su página web puedes encontrar, en su también memoria de sostenibilidad, puedes encontrar la cantidad de cosas que realizan, muchísimas más incluso de lo que a priori uno puede llegar a pensar. Pero tengo que decir que a nivel de reputacional está muy bien situada, muy bien situada.
Bras, I see your hand raised.
Probablemente voy a ser un poco polémico. A ver, nosotros como consumidores, pues queremos todo muy sostenible, pero utilizamos algo como esto. Esta es mi nieta. Aquí está la mitad de la tabla periódica. Y la gente no discute la utilización del smartphone. Cada vez que yo hago una pregunta a ChatGPT, muchos kilovatios hora se están utilizando. Y no podemos vivir sin esto. El problema del vestuario, pues yo puedo decir, si no es sostenible, pues no se vende. Y vamos a exigir que todo sea muy sostenible. Claro que sí. Y que seamos todos justos con la producción en Europa y justos con la producción fuera de Europa. Todos lo queremos. Pero sabemos que un 70% de la consumación en Europa viene de fuera. Es muy difícil. Una marca como Inditex o una empresa como Inditex con sus marcas, pues intenta hacerlo, pero no puede decidir todo, porque, por ejemplo, hablamos de reciclaje. Vamos a reciclar todo. La Comisión Europea ha decidido, a partir de 1 de enero de 2025, pues los ayuntamientos tienen que separar los textiles. Pues muy bien. ¿Dónde están estos textiles? Pues no hay tecnología para reciclarlos. Lamento inmenso, pero no hay. Nosotros no somos capaces de pegar estos productos en fin de vida y separarlos. Es separar los componentes. No somos capaces de hacerlo. Mismo a la mano, pues tenemos muchas dificultades y al final tenemos las mezclas. Entonces, por eso te decía cuando empecé mi comunicación, que el tema de la sostenibilidad no es solamente una cuestión de mindset, no es solamente una cuestión de los consumidores, pero también es muy intensa en tecnología. Hay muchísimo que hacer. Hay muchísimo que hacer. En este momento será post-consumo, pues se puede reciclar un 2-3% nada más. ¿Por qué? Porque no hay tecnología para hacerlo. El reciclaje que hay hoy en día es prácticamente la totalidad del post-industrial. Porque ahí sabemos exactamente lo que tenemos, como habemos visto en el video, pues sabemos que tenemos y podemos utilizar las tecnologías disponibles para hacerlo. Pero
Y hablando,
perdona, concluyo diciendo pues, comprendo muy bien que ha dicho Rafael, pues Inditex tiene un trabajo, un trabajo inmenso a hacer. Lo que puedo decir es que Inditex cuando viene a Portugal para comprar, pues la gente que viene es muy exigente, muy exigente, muy exigente. Es verdad que no pagan más, pero al final exigen que los criterios de sostenibilidad sean cumplidos por las empresas. Eso te puedo decir.
y hablando de tecnología, Fatme preguntaba hace tiempo cuáles son las innovaciones tecnológicas que las pymes, leo en inglés porque si no me should prioritize to balance sustainability with efficiency in production. I don't know, Montse, if you want to take this or I leave it to the others, because I saw your...
The answer is very difficult because it depends. Textile is everything. We are talking about process industry or labor-intensive industry or different kinds of energies used by textile industry. So we need to know exactly what kind of industry, what kind of products, what kind of raw materials, and so on, in order to understand what kind of technologies must be adopted in the next years. But I think that something must happen in the SMEs in Europe. First one, we cannot go forward without a permanent thinking about sustainability. It's not to be radical and say, what is not completely sustainable, I don't adopt. No, I have a way to improve continuously the level of sustainability of my operation. Secondly, the biggest challenge, this industry, namely in the Iberian Peninsula and in Latin America is exactly the same, because we are the same people. We are not so good to plan, but we are very good to react. And at this moment, a big change in the world is occurring, and our companies must understand the difference. AI is a big difference in our lives. And AI is not for sure, definitely, is not ChatGPT. AI is more than that. And we need to implement solutions based on AI to have the possibility in Europe, to have the possibility to maintain this industry in Europe. Otherwise, we don't have people for this work. And some tools are in development. I had the opportunity to see and to experiment with my hands 2 weeks ago some solutions that are able now to produce a collection based, in this case, on the photos or the pictures taken in the Paris Fashion Week. And this is very new for us. Companies are not aware for this change at this moment, and Text4, of course, and us as a technological center, we are responsible to spread this idea because the change is huge. I conclude 2 weeks ago in a big player of production of technology solutions for textile and clothing, we concluded that the first profession to be killed is lawyer. Why lawyer? Because lawyers just work with text. And the AI tools are very nice to deal with text. And think about that. Understand consumption. Make a design to control the plant to produce, logistics and post-consumer. Nowadays, it is basic to work with information, with text, and AI is incredible for that.
Many thanks, Bras. Montse, do you want to close with
No, I think that Bras has
covered?
Tienes que hablar más fuerte,
Vale. No,
porque
yo-
no se escucha.
Perdón, bueno, yo creo que Bras ya lo ha comentado todo. Yo creo que es muy importante hablar de cuáles son las tecnologías clave. Es que, como dice muy bien Bras, la inteligencia artificial es una tecnología que debemos tener en cuenta de cara a futuro. Ya se está implantando en el textil. De hecho, con un proyecto que hicimos conjuntamente con CITEF, implantamos inteligencia artificial en una empresa para identificar pues, futuros errores en los procesos de producción y así evitarlos. Pero también, como comentaba, ¿no? A la hora de hacer reciclaje y conseguir una Europa sostenible en términos de la industria textil y de la moda, no existe hoy en día una tecnología capaz de reciclar todo el textil que se genera, todo el residuo que se genera en Europa. Se están haciendo grandes esfuerzos en I+D, pero aún así queda un largo recorrido y se tiene que trabajar día a día. Entonces es empezar con pequeños pasos, pequeños avances, como digitalizar los procesos de producción, tener un control exhaustivo de cuáles son los consumos de energía y agua, porque la industria textil es muy intensiva en el uso de estos recursos, que también son importantes a la hora de hablar de sostenibilidad. Y solo con un control exhaustivo del uso de estos recursos podemos ser más eficientes. Hay un problema muy importante que también hablaba Bras, aunque no es el único, que conseguir un textil sostenible o reciclado es mucho más caro que obtener un tejido virgen, y el consumidor a fecha de hoy no está dispuesto a pagar más dinero por un producto textil que es reciclado, que probablemente a veces el tejido no tiene la misma calidad que un tejido natural o un tejido original. Hay muchos retos que abordar en sostenibilidad textil, pero se están trabajando y yo creo que solo trabajando juntos las diferentes regiones y organizaciones podemos avanzar en ese aspecto. Sí que es verdad que hay normativa, pero también hay mucho trabajo por hacer para poder conseguir ser eficientes y avanzar en este camino que es la sostenibilidad textil.
Muchas gracias. I think we were longer 20 minutes, so we can close the webinar, but thank you so much for sharing all your practices and what you are doing in the sector. I think you can read in the chat that it was super interesting and the participants were we also they also stayed until now. So thanks from our side, and for all the participants, you will receive the presentations of the speakers, and you will also receive a feedback form to support us in shaping the future events. Many thanks, and see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.